Welcome to Monday. After exploring our last virtue of faith and framing it through the lens of whose voice informs our decisions and directs our steps, I want to talk about another type of voice today. And I'm going to go straight to the raw truth of how I frame prudence. Because to me, prudence demands something uncomfortable. So today, it's going to be provocative. It's going to get the people going. And if you know what I mean, you're my type of people. Good for you. But it's true. Prudence requires us to tune out, and I would offer sometimes root out, voices that do not serve our purpose, or they don't protect what's been entrusted to us and our posterity, or they don't promote our passion. They don't honor the providence that's been promised to us by our faith, by that voice that we do put our hope in. So here's the question I want you to sit with today. It might elicit some emotional thoughts. It might make you frustrated, a little bit agitated at me, but I want you to actually wrestle with it. What voice is attacking what's been entrusted to only you? And how do you find it, fix it, and finish it? And when I say find, fix, and finish, let me remind you all that I have been a U.S. Marine for 24 years. I'm an infantry officer, and preparing for, practicing, studying, and employing the art of combat and warfare is what I do. So when I find something, I fix it and I finish it. I mean, I'm going to sense and make sense of the targets out there that are opposed to me, the enemy, the opposition. We're going to spread those ops. We're fixing those ops. We're finishing those ops. And when I mean finish it, I mean annihilate it, root it out, get it out of your life. That's the tone I'm going for here, intentionally, because prudence isn't always timidity or being passive. You know what? Let me tell you a story. Years ago, my wife Laura and I were on a red-eye flight from LAX to Detroit for a family reunion. Our oldest daughter, Aria, was still very young and didn't fly well. Across the aisle sat a very large man. He was drunk, loud, disruptive, and he continued to get more and more drunk, loud, and disruptive. The kind of person and presence that you just can't ignore. You can't just tune it out, even though I really wish we could have. I noticed his voice immediately, not just the agitation or the drunkenness or the things he was saying or the obscenities. I saw past the surface layer. I heard things in his tone, in his posture, the non-spoken verbal cues, the body language, just things that others might not have been paying attention to. I smelled what he was stepping in immediately. I was patient, I was kind. But again, I was with my wife and my little girl, so I wasn't ignorant. I was on high alert. There was something in his eyes, though. It was a hostility that alcohol didn't create, but it definitely revealed it. So as the flight went on, he grew louder, more aggressive, and especially toward the woman that was seated right in front of him. He was just out of control. And the stewardess many times asked him to stop, to calm down. Sir, please grab your seat. Sir, I'm not going to serve you any more alcohol. But he started getting out of hand. Aria, who was already crying, started screaming at this point because she could sense the spirit in the air, his tone, his agitation. She was overwhelmed, which in turn made my wife overwhelmed. And I think in another turn, watching my family and then watching this punk, this enormously large man across the aisle who was about to snap, I was at my wit's end with this. My patience was wearing thin and it was about to crack through the ice. I calmly asked him, "Sir, please lower your voice, mind your business." And he began elevating his voice even louder, demanding to know from my wife directly, talking over me, "What the hell are you going to do about it with your little daughter? Shut her up." And he kept saying it. And now at this point, my blood is about to boil. So again, I said, "Sir, lower your voice, leave my wife and daughter alone, mind your business. Just stay out of my family's business. We are doing our best. She's a little girl." But I read his body language and he started shifting in his agitation. And it just told me something. I could feel it in my gut. I was like, this is about to escalate beyond words. So Laura looks at me and says, "Babe, I'm going to take Aria to the back of the plane and see if I can calm her down and walk around with her." As Laura stepped into the aisle to walk Aria toward the back of the plane, trying to soothe her, it happened. He reached into the aisle and was grabbing for my daughter's leg. And as he was grabbing for it, he's shouting at Laura some obscenities that I will never forget. yelling profanities at her, asking what the F she's going to do. B, to shut this effing daughter of hers up. It was out of control. And all of this is as his arm is trying to reach for my little girl and my wife. So, in that moment, there was no confusion. I'm not just going to be prudently tuning this man out. This man needed to be rooted out and fixed and finished. No hesitation, no internal debate. I grabbed his wrist, I slammed his arm down onto his armrest. I started cutting off his circulation, and I leaned across, quietly but clearly and about as firmly as I could. Said, "Sir, I've asked you one too many times, and this is your last warning. You will look straight ahead and keep your mouth shut. And if you feel the pressure I'm putting on you now, this is just the beginning of it. If you continue, I will make you unconscious, and you will wake up in handcuffs being escorted by police. Not one more word, not one more sound. You don't look around. You bother no one else this flight. And if you do, or if you even think of touching my daughter or my wife, I will ensure that you don't wake up ever. I promise you that." And he didn't say another word for the rest of the flight. Now, hear me clearly, please. This is not some false sense of bravado. This is not being a loose cannon. This is not a story to glorify violence. It is framing prudence, because I think sometimes we put the wrong frame of timidity or being passive around this very important virtue that is a vehicle for almost every other virtue to travel in. Prudence isn't being passive, and it's not politeness without boundaries. It is not spiritualized avoidance. So if you read anything in scripture, perhaps, that you grew up with being quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger, what that doesn't mean is that we give ear to every voice, or that we stay silent in the face of harm, or that we refuse to confront evil when it threatens what we are called to protect and to provide for. Prudence discerns when to tune out destructive voices, yes. But perhaps could it also mean to discern when to act decisively before damage becomes irreversible? And that calls us to maybe root it out, not just tune it out. So here's the question that haunts me. Why are we so vigilant about protecting our children, our marriages, our physical safety, yet we are so careless about the voices we allow to access and take root in our minds, our hearts, and our callings? Why do we flirt with influences we already know are sent to destroy us? So maybe prudence asks some harder questions, like, what voice is eroding my courage? What voice is quietly attacking what God has entrusted to me alone? But then it goes a step further, and it demands moving from the headspace into an action. It demands it. Sometimes that action is tuning out. Sometimes it's stepping away or not even being in an environment to allow those voices. But I've found, honestly, it often is finding the threat, fixing the boundary, and then, if that boundary gets encroached, finishing the influence before it causes damage beyond repair. The decision, the timing, the action, all of those are inseparable. That might be where prudence comes in. Over the next couple of weeks, I want you to keep returning to this question. What voice is attacking what's been entrusted to only you? And how do you find it, fix it, and finish it? Sarah and I cannot wait to step into this conversation with you inside the vault on Friday. We'll see you then. Thanks for tuning into this episode of The Power of Framing. Follow Foundational Coaching on your favorite social media platform, where I'll meet you on Wednesday and you can ask me anything you want. I'm honored to be a part of your story today, and I'm proud of your growth, my friend. I can't wait for our next time together, exploring the vault.